Helen had always been the kind of woman people admired in silence. At 34, she was devoted to her family, worked part-time as a teacher, and lived a life that seemed calm on the surface. To the neighbors, she was the picture of the perfect wife, discreet, graceful, and always by the side of her husband, Robert, a respected businessman in town. But behind her serene smile, Helen carried an emptiness she couldn't explain. Small gestures of affection had faded with time. Conversations had become rare. Robert came home late almost every night, carrying the scent of places she didn't recognize, and a distant look in his eyes, as if his heart no longer lived there. That stormy night, while sorting through the drawer in her husband's office, Helen found something that made her stomach turn. A woman's silk scarf, delicately folded, carrying a sweet, unmistakable scent. It wasn't hers. It had never been. In the days that followed, the feeling of unease only grew stronger. Helen began to notice details she had once overlooked. A deleted message on his phone, a faint trace of lipstick barely visible on a shirt, a poorly told story about a late-night business meeting. Everything was piling up like pieces of a puzzle she didn't want to put together. One morning, as she stepped out of the house, Helen noticed something even more unsettling. Robert's mistress, a mysterious woman who had been nothing more than suspicion until now, didn't just exist, she seemed to be imitating her. The same haircut, the same style of clothes, the same delicate gestures that once belonged only to Helen. It was as if, little by little, that woman wasn't just stealing Robert's love. She was stealing Helen's very identity. And deep down, Helen already knew. This wouldn't stop with small details. Something much bigger was coming. Helen couldn't sleep. The image of that woman with the same haircut, the same clothes, the same way of smiling haunted her mind. It was as if a shadow had decided to live the life that belonged to her. That night, when Robert came home late once again, Helen decided to stay awake. The silence of the living room was broken only by the sound of the key turning in the lock. He walked in, straightening his tie, surprised to find her there. "Still up?" he asked, trying to sound casual. "Where were you?" Helen's voice was firm, though it trembled at the edges. "I told you already. Meetings. You know how it is." Helen stared at her husband, searching for even the faintest trace of truth in his eyes. The next day, she followed his steps. And that's when the truth revealed itself in the cruelest way. From across the street, Helen watched as Robert met with his mistress. The shock wasn't just seeing them together, it was watching the way the woman carried herself. Every gesture, every laugh, even the way she held her purse. It was like staring at a distorted reflection of herself. The mistress touched Robert's face and whispered something that froze Helen's heart. "She'll never be like me." Helen felt a storm of anger and pain surge through her. It wasn't just the betrayal, it was the haunting sense of being erased, as if this woman didn't just want to steal her husband. She wanted to steal her very identity. That night, when she returned home, Helen stood in front of the mirror for what felt like forever. For the first time, she didn't recognize herself. The clothes, the hair, even the look in her eyes, none of it seemed to belong to her anymore. Something inside her stirred, a silent voice, steady and sharp, whispering, "If she wants my life, she'll learn the price of taking it." Helen couldn't stand living like a ghost in her own life any longer. The emptiness, the imitation, the betrayal, it was consuming her whole. That night, she made a decision. She would face the mistress, face to face. She followed Robert to the apartment where the woman lived. The door was slightly open. Helen slipped inside in silence, and what she saw made her blood run cold. Photos of herself plastered across the wall, magazine clippings of outfits identical to hers, even objects stolen from her own home. It was a shrine, an altar dedicated to her. Suddenly, the mistress appeared, smiling. "You're here, finally." Helen stepped back, confused. "What is this? Don't you get it, Helen? I've always wanted to be you. Every gesture, every glance, every piece of your life. Now, he wants me too, because I am you." The woman's eyes burned with a mix of devotion and madness. Before Helen could react, Robert appeared. But the shock cut even deeper. Instead of pulling away from the scene, he wrapped his arm around the mistress's waist. "You're no longer needed, Helen. She's already you, only better." Helen felt the ground vanish beneath her feet. Her husband and his mistress weren't just united against her, they were conspiring to replace her completely. The next day, word spread through town. Helen had disappeared. No trace, no explanation. Some said she had run away, unable to bear the shame. Others believed something far worse had happened. But the most disturbing part came after. The mistress began appearing in public at Robert's side, using the same name, the same mannerisms. the same clothes. To everyone else, it was still Helena standing there. And just like that, the real one was erased. Not just betrayed, erased.